Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. Today, part 2 of E-Commerce 101, talking SEO, that's search engine optimization, with Priscila Teixeira. She was with us a couple of weeks ago doing part 1, and we ran out of time. There's so much information that she had to share. We wanted to make sure that we gave her ample opportunity to finish her presentation. And this, I think, is where she left off. So I do again want to introduce to you Priscila Teixeira. And forgive me, I'm having a hard time talking today. But she is a serial entrepreneur, has been involved with e-commerce for many years and is very knowledgeable. She's owned several businesses both virtual as well as shops itself. So she knows her stuff. And if you were with us last time, you know that she has so much information to share, and her experiences, I believe, make it even that much more impactful. And we do have the video of part 1 if you did not get a chance to check it out. So we'll send you that information in follow-up to this. So again, let me introduce to you Priscila, and take it away.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, everyone who is here with us today. It is such a pleasure again to be here, and I do hope today I manage my time a little bit better. We have so much to cover, so I'm gonna kind of try to stay on track with the slides. We have a full presentation, so if we kind of stay on track, we should be able to make it within the 1 hour we have. And if in case we don't get to answer all the questions on the end, feel free to email Cheryl or myself. I don't know exactly, Cheryl can give us directions, the best way to reach out to me in case there is anything that I can help out aftermath. But hopefully we can get everything here done on time today. So today, so kind of for the ones, some of you, I'm not sure who is here today that was with us on part 1. So I kind of, as Cheryl mentioned, we're going to pick up from where we left, but kind of jump more towards SEO today, really kind of try to stay on that specific topic, which is huge. And it kind of affects all the websites. I don't know, I just recently, a couple months ago, I heard of this data that I was surprised to an extent, but not in another, but just so you guys know, the amount of, do you know that right now, 2 months ago, there is almost the same amount of websites in the world as there is people. Can you imagine how hard it is to find a website? So SEO is crucial. So yes, you heard it right. Almost the same amount of website address out there as there is people in the world. Isn't this crazy?
That is awesome. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So anyways, we're going to today we're going to talk about like why we need to understand SEO and what is that we can take care of, on our own, and things that basics. We're going to, again, 1 hour, we're going to really kind of zoom through some of the basics, but should give you guys enough information to kind of go and dig deeper after this 1 hour. And, there's a lot of stuff out there to research. There's so many free resources out there to dig and get deeper into it. But anyway, so without further ado, let's go, Cheryl, so I don't get lost on track on time.
No problem.
So here kind of was as our first part 1 was about e-commerce, and then kind of all the things that kind of are behind, all the little parts of the puzzles that kind of make it you create and have and run an e-commerce business. Many things are part of it, SEO being one of the most important ones, and that's what we are focusing on today. So what is SEO? What does it mean and why it matters? So here is something exactly copy and paste from what you would find if you put SEO on Google. So let's read this together. SEO means search engine optimization and is the process used to optimize a website. Oops, hold on here 1 second so I read it exactly. Sorry about that, guys. Optimize a website's technical configuration, content relevance, and link popularity. So its pages can become easily findable, more relevant, and popular towards users' search queries. And as a consequence, search engines rank them better. bottom line is SEO is what helps your site be found. So, and there's a lot of technology and little things behind that. So let's move on to that. So another thing that we're gonna to make SERP, I just have to mention for you guys because it's directly connect. So the difference between SERP and SEO, here you guys can see, it is SEO is the acronym for search engine optimization, as we just said, and SERP is the acronym for search engine results page. So that's it. So let's move on. We're gonna touch here. SERP can include organic results, paid ads, featured snippets, knowledge graphics, rich results, and we're gonna touch base on all those things as we move forward. But just so you guys know, Google uses structured data that it finds on the web to understand the content of the page, as well as to gather information about the web and the world in general. So you guys, a lot of what we're gonna talk today might sound a little technical, but hopefully we break down in lots of examples that will make it easy to understand. Before we get into the technicalities of SEO, why is that? Like how you decide there's many different things you can touch about SEO. But one thing you need to establish before you move it forward is what's going to be your strategy. Each one of you run a different business and have different goals and have different realities and have different resources and time and money and knowledge, whatever that might be. Each one of us is different. So you gotta think about your own business, number one, and see what's your reality and create a strategy that makes sense and that's something that you can achieve so you are successful. So we're gonna talk about some generics, some things will apply to you, some things might be something that, you don't make it a priority. It's like maybe it's step 2 or 3 for you. So you see as you go, I just want everybody to kind of keep in mind that you gotta learn everything you used to learn, but then apply that to your business and your reality. You don't want to set yourself for failure to go and kind of reach a goal that is impossible to get it, and then you end up doing nothing. So go step by step, little by little, make a plan and go checking and moving forward and learning and getting deeper into it. So one of the things that we're going to touch very briefly today, but how SEO is connected to blogging and how is that connected to link and tags and all those little things we're going to touch so we can move on. Other thing that also to consider is, and the reason I put this here in the beginning, even though it's not a SEO directly, I want you guys to keep those 10 bullet points. Those are alerts, those are trend alerts for what's happening in 2022. And those are things that I just want you to keep in mind, put in the back of your head and kind of keep this in mind as we go through SEO for e-commerce specifically. SEO is kind of expanding to be, it's got something that's going to affect as people move into social shopping and how different ways to search. Google is no longer the only place to search, bottom line it is. So I don't know if some of you guys probably already know, last year, 2021, TikTok bypassed Google as the search engine. So that's just kind of to talk about social media for a second. Another thing, for example, when you think about there is Google, there is, there is Bing and Yahoo, those are usually the people that what people think first. But what actually, if you don't consider social like TikTok, the very next one after Google actually since last year, it's YouTube. So people are searching on YouTube. So what that means to you is that you're going to have to learn SEO, not only for Google, which is what we are focusing on today, but very, very soon, that's the future. You're going to have search engines for each one of these other places. So YouTube is going to have their own deal and TikTok their own. So each one of them, and then kind of going back to what we just referred to, what's your reality? What's your goal? What is your business? Is that, are you on TikTok or not? Does that make sense to be or not? And if it does, then consider creating SEO and learning and build a strategy for that specific platform, because that's the future. That's kind of what's going to happen. So just briefly, Leah, let's go through the top 10 trends for 2022. So TikTok, as I mentioned, and a lot of people, that's another share, that's another subject. TikTok alone, it would be 1 hour to talk about it. So I'm going to just kind of plug in out there. And, a lot of folks have I did it myself as well. Have like, oh, TikTok is just for, young, and TikTok is just funny, silly videos. It's much more than that. So anyways, keep that in mind, consider. And there is a lot of podcasts, lots of blogs, a lot of research, again, free out there. You can dig it in, learn, and see the power of TikTok and the importance of it. And for even education, like there's a lot of things. Anyway, short form video, get on top of it. YouTube channel, as we mentioned a second ago, podcast, that's another great, and one thing on podcast, a lot of people might stay away and kind of think that is something, it's fairly easy to create a podcast. And again, there's lots of easy tools out there to create it. And it's something that directly affects your SEO as well. We're going to touch base on how all those, as I mentioned a second ago, they all are connected to SEO as well on their own world. Pinterest, coming back, and then strong. Blogging, it's directly connected to SEOs. To me, it's one of the main points of blogging, if you ask me personally. Email marketing, and then membership community, and workshop, and courses online is like I'm giving one right now. So anyways, let's move on now and start digging into SEO. So as I mentioned just a second ago, social selling. Are you social selling or not? That's something that you have to keep in mind as we move forward and as you decide what's your SEO strategy. Are you social selling? That will affect how you make it and focus on the tools that you have it and how you prioritize what you do in regards to the huge universe of SEO. Keep those things in mind, just kind of, ideas, things to consider and to keep in perspective as you move forward and make a plan and strategize and act on it. So one question that a lot of people ask when we kind of talk about SEO is like, how long does it take? And, as it's not really something that you have answered the formula, let's say. It's not something to say, oh, in 3 months, you're going to see results. In 6 months, you're going to see results. In 1 year, you're going to see results. It all depends and varies in a series of factors that we're going to be touching bases. There's absolutely no way to tell you how long you're going to see the efforts, how long it's going to take until you actually see it. So the only thing I can tell you about how long it takes is just get started, do everything that you can as soon as you can, and we'll build up. It's a snowball effect. So we'll kind of get more into it in a second. One thing what is Google looking into? What is Google looking for when it comes to SEO, like factors that play a role on how Google rank you? So they want pretty much the recipe. Some of you might have heard of EAT, which E stands for expertise, A for authority, and T for trust. So that's kind of the recipe. Those are the 3 elements that you kind of want to have it on your recipe, that you're going to have it to be beauty and grow. So we're going to dig into more next slide. So how does content rank in search? How does that happen? So we're going to talk first, you're going to build discovery. And that's kind of how you probably, all of you most have likely heard about how Google's going to be crawling and going. So imagine some people I kind of like that analogy. Imagine a small town growing into a big city. And, we started the presentation talking about how now we have almost the same amount of websites in the world as there is people. So imagine how hard it is to find a website. So think about, let's kind of go back to analogy of the city. So there is a little town and there is one library and there is one grocery store and there is, a handful of houses. That's kind of fairly easy to know where the library is, right? As you grow into a city and then you keep expanding and expanding, becomes harder and harder. What is the places when you think about a big city and you are driving a highway? What kind of signal you see when you are driving on 270? You don't see a little signal to, Mary's house, right? You're going to see a big signal to Polaris Mall or whatever, the big chunks of real estate, the places that have the most power, economic money to that city, let's call it, if you want to see it this way. So think about the same way in terms of your websites. What Google is doing and what Google is doing is he's going to create signs for the big places, but also the main goal of Google is to serve who, always again, think about on the other side, who are they serving? What is Google search for? They want the people that are coming, users are coming on Google and they want to find X, Y, and Z. What Google as a service provider wants to do to that user is to provide exactly what they're looking for. The closer, the better. They're going to make that user happier. And that's what Google wants. So they keep coming back because they see Google as a relevant place to search. So they're going to narrow down the more, the better. And how you get there, it's what SEO plays a huge role. How you as a business owner needs to tell Google what is that you're all about. And it has to be real, obviously, because Google is super smart to figure out there is a whole lot of people that kind of use the little tricks and things that you can do to kind of get some sort of traffic or fake or things that this will fall through and you will kind of, it's not going to work. So just be real and provide good, accurate information. And we're going to talk about what that means in terms of Google search. So let's kind of get back here on track. Good discovery, so crawling. So he's going to crawl and look for things and see what is that you have it here. What is that you sell? What is that you service that you provide? And then the relevance is going to be how that's going to index to you by creating lots of high quality content on the topics you want to be known for. And what I mean by high quality content, we're going to dig a little bit deeper in a second. But basically, is you don't want to be fluffy. You don't want to just kind of be on the surface, be generic. You want to get as niche as possible. And you want to give as many informations and be as specific as possible. So you kind of create that audience and then you build your chances to be seen. And then then one huge factor is building authority. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. But that is going to help how you're going to rank on number 1, 2, and 3. And guys, just so you know, everybody, when I'm talking today, we are not going to be talking about ranking because you paid advertise or you bought any sort of advertising. I'm talking about organic. I'm talking about not spending any money on advertising. I'm talking about using the behind the scenes tools and preparing your website, the structure of it from roadmap to words that you put it and how that is going to help you be founded. So keep that in mind. I'm not getting to advertising and paid and none of that. So kind of be it. So do links matter? Yes, absolutely. A lot of people have been talking that they don't matter anymore, and there's a lot of talk out there. They do matter tremendously. And there's one thing, and it's a very easy, simplistic, even analogy or like explanation that I use it a lot of times with my interns when they're starting working, and especially the creative writers that kind of work on website or blog on those areas of my business. And when I tell them, okay, there is 3, and this is something that I've been saying for a while, and of course those things adjusted, but pretty much one easy number, one easy thing to keep in mind that I find it very helpful to people that are starting taking care of SEO is when you're writing and when you're doing a blog, you always want to do 3 links out, outside and 3 inside. That's kind of very easy thing to remember. What inside means and what outside means. Inside means you're going to create a link that's going to send that person back to your own website. So I'm staying inside my world. And outside means I'm referring to somebody outside my world. I'm sending somebody outside my house. I'm sending somebody to the other side of the street. But you're going to connect, and we're going to talk about where do you want to send them. So for instance, an outside link today could be, if I write a blog about this presentation I'm doing right now, and then I would go and put not just a thank you to Columbus Urban League and kind of give a shout out about all the service that they provide. And then I would put a link for people to check more for more webinars or resources and all the wonderful things they provide. So that is myself providing an outside link. So I'm sending people that are right now on my website, on my blog, sending them out to check somebody else out. That's part of kind of a lot of kind of networking, and which is a huge help. It's a huge factor on building authority. And especially, of course, if you connect yourself with established places that are well-known, that are trustworthy, and that are things that will help you rank higher. So we're going to talk about networking as well today. And that's super important. But anyway, so bottom line is, so on the inside, an example of inside link would be, I write a blog about jewelry. And then I go and I mention a specific necklace. And that necklace, I put a link to my e-commerce and then talk about it so that I'm staying within my world. So that's kind of what I would call inside link. and outside, going outside. So anyways, there is a whole lot of people that force links and create fake links, if you, for lack of better words, to not get into too much details. But the point is, you don't want to do that. You want them all to be real, because Google sees and knows all those places, and this will impact you negatively if you go the wrong route. So SEO is a long-term strategy. So that's what I was telling you guys. Start as soon as you can, even if it's little by little, but get started and go building up as your time and resources and all that allows. It is more cost effective, and it has a snowball, more cost effective than any advertising. So it's something to put it as your, like, make it a priority. It's super important if you're running e-commerce to take care of your SEO. Let's move on to next. The most basic signal that information is relevant is when a web page contains the same keywords as your search query. If those keywords appear on the page, or if they appear in the headings or body of the text, the information is more likely to be relevant. This came straight from Google. So you guys can see this is just a screenshot that I got from them. And what that means, we're going to talk about keywords and how we use them on top of your page, how you use them on the body of your page, and how much, you don't want to be repetitive and you want to stay relevant. So what is too much or what is not? So let's move on to next. So we're going to cover, again, like I said, within the time we have, I'm going to kind of zoom through the basics that you should get familiar with and spend some time digging and learning about it. So the next 3 pages, the next 3 slides, we're going to talk about the best practices. And I'm going to touch the basics of what you should get yourself knowledgeable about it and work on as you can. So keywords. So include relevant but not repetitive keywords. So make sure the variations and also in title and description. Keywords are critical, but context matters more. That's something new. In the past, keywords was pretty much, not that all that matters, but context was not something that was taken into consideration. And that's something that started very recently. So it kind of goes with that storytelling. And what I mean by that, the context is not necessarily the storytelling itself, but on a sense that you are not just chopping words. You're not just kind of adding a whole bunch of like stuffing a page with all kinds of words that you want to be known for, but it's not really relevant. That is going to just make noise and it's going to annoy the person who is searching and finding and not being exactly what they're looking for. It's almost like as if you're tricking people to get in your website. And Google will know that, and for many different reasons. But one of the ways that, imagine when you go on a website and you are looking for banana cake, and then you imagine you sell carrot cake, but you're like, I'm going to put banana cake just because I know banana cake is popular. And then you put a that, but actually you're selling is the carrot. So somebody falls on your website and it's not really what they're looking for. What's going to happen? They're going to bounce. They're going to leave. Google has reports of all of that. So, and if your bounce rate is too high and people are just kind of jumping in and out, that means your content is not relevant. So that kind of plays a role on bringing your rank down. So just use keywords, tell the truth, use things that are relevant. You want to expand. You want to kind of do almost kind of, behind the scene advertising, if you will. You want, things that you want to be known for, but they have to be, again, real. So all this matters. So second, so going back to what I was saying, the description and also the words. So just don't chop a whole bunch of words. Make a story that makes sense and that is all real and relevant to the person, so they stay and they found and they're happy. Keep it short, but not too short. So here specifically, I'm talking about when I say Google cuts off meta description at 106 characters. When you're describing your website, just you can do an exercise your own. Type your own website and see what is the description that pops there. So that description should be, when you go in kind of how, your elevator speech for Google for the 106 characters. So what is that about? So just kind of Google your own, but also go and look at what your either competitors or who you admire or who do you know is doing good or things, and kind of get ideas there, but it has to be about your business and it has to be relevant. So keep it short, that you don't bypass that 160, so you don't miss the boat that way, but also stay relevant. Be clear and concise. So it's not the time when you are doing description, it's not the time to get, fancy and fun and all that. It's, and I don't know if those are the best words to describe it, but my point is be direct, be clear and concise. People have different ways of understanding or reading what you are saying. So just don't, it's not the time. There is pages that you want to go and get it more describing things in a way that is more fun or that is more novelty. But when it comes to this first pages, you want to be direct, you want to be straight, and then clear and concise. And that's going to help with SEO as well. Include a descriptive file name and detail alt text. I mentioned this a little bit last time. So the alt is, and that's specific for images. Every time you have an image, there is always a body that populates, a little window that opens, which is the ALT, and a lot of us leave that empty. So there is a few negative reasons why you don't want to ever leave that empty. One of them is like if you, for just discrimination matter, like some people might not be able to see the image, but if you have the alt, they would be able to hear and know what is that you are presenting on that page. What is that about? So you have to do that for inclusivity, like for being inclusive, not only for that matter, but if you don't do it, Google is thinking, okay, you know what? This website is discriminating against people that cannot see it. They will push you down. But also another factor that is going to happen on the alt, all those words that you are typing there, they are helping describe not only for those that needed that help, but also for the spiders to find it and see what is that about. So make sure every single image that you have in your website that you describe what is that image about. And then other thing, make sure your image on the URL is readable. And what I mean by that is there is some names, sometimes people use little signs, minus, plus, or underscore. And some of them you might see perfectly well yourself. And for people that use the same sort of browser that you do, might have no problems. But you got to consider that we have a world of people out there. So do not go, again, stay down to, be clear, be concise, use words and like alphabet numbers and letters that are recognized worldwide. So you don't have any funky elements popping up in somebody else's that might be your target audience, who knows. And optimize image size. That's other thing that is huge. Depends on the size of your photos. That is gonna drop how slow your website's gonna load it. So if you have an image that you took it when you shot the picture, it was a 6,000 by 4,000, but then your website allows only for a 400 by 400. If you don't optimize the image size and just throw it as you took it there, then your website's gonna have to do the effort to make it fit. To make it happen, there is a whole lot of engineers behind it that is making things slow down. And that is just making the time for people to see what's happening much longer. Most likely they're gonna bounce and leave. Again, that's a dent on your website. So you wanna prepare all those little basic things so you kind of get rid of things that don't need to distract and kind of get people going away from your site. So make sure that you optimize image sizes before you upload them on your website. And each one of you might have websites and your e-commerce in different platforms, and they all have different measurements. So you got to know what it is, the reality for your site, and just make it fit to that so it's quick and faster. Then include a title attribute. So again, go back to being clear, rich, and then all the descriptions, H1 tags. And this is something, start getting a little bit more technical. I'm not going to get into it today, but H1 tags, just make sure those words later after the webinar, you guys can watch this again and write down all those names and go and Google. And there is plenty of great information out there for you to see what it is and how to do it. It's fairly simple. It's more scary than it looks. Many times I tell people it really is. There's so many technical terms that kind of might scare people away, thinking that they cannot do it. You don't need to be a technical person to be able to do it, what we are talking about today, really. You don't need to be a developer or none of that. You just need to kind of understand some of those basics, what it is, where it goes, and take care of it. And all of you can do that. And then ensure that all the content you produce is written for humans. That is key. That's something a lot of times people are kind of losing track of who is on the other side. Yes, it's a digital world, but guess what? Who's shopping? And who is on the other side? There are humans like us. So talk to them. Don't focus on creating for an engine, for a machine, even though they are reading and they're helping push your site. Create for humans, because that is going to create the connection and that's going to bring them back. And then try to feed Google and all the other platforms for that matter, but today is more focused on Google, as much info as you can. And that's going to just help you show all that you got and kind of all the different areas that you take care of or products that you sell on the right place. So let's move on to next. The next couple of slides are pretty heavy, guys, so I apologize. There is like a lot of kind of little terms that I'm like, oh my, what is that? So, but I'm gonna go through this, so hopefully we have a little time for you guys to ask some questions and that will be helpful, hopefully. So then ensure, let me see where I got, next one. Thank you, Cheryl. And then ensure time on page and CTR's click-through rates are high and the bounce rate is low. We talk a little bit about that. So when you want people, when they click on that page, they want them to find it, what they intend to find. So they're not disappointed. So they go and they find what they came for. So let's not trick anybody. Let's use it exactly the description of what you have it and be smart about it, putting the words out there and optimizing so you get engagement because you are giving them what they asked for. Make your site easy to navigate. That's what I think that has something to do, you know, it depends if you're using something like, you know, Shopify or Wix. They have kind of some format, some formatted places that kind of you can use some templates that have already that friendliness going on, or might be a developer that you are using, whatever it is, just whatever is the way that you are creating your site or redoing it. Make sure that you make it easy to navigate. You don't want to make things more complicated than they need to be. It's not the place to be complicated. So the clearer things are, again, the better. And then it's going to make it easy to navigate it. So, you know, have bars, have drop-down menus, and all the links we're going to talk about deeper. Site speed matters a lot. And again, what does affect your site speed? Heavy photos. That's something that's going to be a big problem. Or if your site map, it's very messy, that is going to make people not find it. You got to be clear and easy so they get into it. Some depends on what you use it. You might be able to have multiple landing pages, which is wonderful to kind of get directly on what you're looking for. So, but anyway, site speed matters a lot. So see if you have it. So look at this. It says that technically less than 2 seconds is what should take. And if you do a little kind of a lot of websites take it well over 2 seconds to load. So make sure that that is not the case for yours. So how do you do that? One of the things, image compression, like we're talking about, sizes those properly. And then that your code is done right. And that the structure, the design of the site is something smooth and easy that will help Google find it. And then other thing that I mentioned here, start with Google's page speed insights tool. Make sure after the webinar, take a look on that and take advantage of it. There is lots, again, free resources out there. I'm going to just kind of touch base very quickly here. Can move on to next. Then once you understand searcher intent, create content that matches. Make your resource as rich, as in-depth as possible. Again, I'm kind of being redundant here to an extent on like, who is your target audience? Who is your niche? Who is buying from you? Or who is the person that you want to attract it? So make sure that you have content that matches that. But again, be real. So we talk a little bit about creating additional landing pages to satisfy other searches that match user intent. So have it all the basics that you need for your store. And if you have the ability to create extras like blogs and things that you can start kind of showing your authority and also showing your knowledge and your expertise and adding and kind of bringing that traffic that you want to have it, that's part of your goal on your audience, go for it as well. Focus on create completing guides. That's one of the ways you can do that. So many times you can create a little tab where you kind of sharing expertise or adding information or kind of teaching people how to clean jewelry or going and telling them where to find free resources to learn about whatever it is that you teach, or giving recipes of the sort of bread that you sell, whatever that might be, or talking about, you know, the textile, like if you sell the underwear and then what is happening in that industry. So whatever that might be that makes sense with your industry and with the product that you sell, Try to create contents, and especially evergreen content, things that can stay, because those things are going to attach it again, Google, in the time we will build up on it. Google is going to be crawling and kind of connecting you to those keywords, to those themes and topics and things that you want to be known for. Then next, check Google's knowledge graph. That's something that it's free. You guys go and look and make sure that your business is there. So that's the kind of thing that you have to, if you haven't done yet, make sure to do it. Get verified by Google. So it's free. So just go make sure you take care of that if you haven't yet. Get verified, and you need to be the authority, the entity, your, the founder, the CEO, whoever it is that has the person in your business, most likely yourself if you're an entrepreneur like myself. Go take care of that and make sure that is done. Other thing, 301 versus 302. What if some of you might have some domains and the name of your brand is different than the domain that you're able to buy, or you have an old website that now you're transferred to a new website. And a lot of times when you use, for example, GoDaddy or whoever might be the place that you bought your domain, and then there's that question like, if you're pointing direct to a different domain, it's going to ask you that you use 301 or 302 redirect. What is the difference? So usually those places just tell us 301 is the permanent, 302 is the temporary. What's the difference? Which one should you use? So basically 302 as the temporary. If you are kind of under construction, go for that one. In case you are not, and you are literally permanently forever moving, you just move it your brand name, you move it your website platform, whatever that might be the case, but it's permanent, you want to use 301 redirect, because that's going to bring the history all back with you. So you don't want to lose that, all the history you might have with our old website. So make sure you use 301. Next thing, HTTP versus HTTPS. The S, super easy to remember. S stands for security, so it's safe. If you see a website when you're shopping, especially if you're dealing with credit card information, email, whatever private information for people that are buying from you, you want to keep it that all safe. So people, when they are shopping, they will be looking for that. Make sure that you provided that and everything is encrypted and safe. So your website should be end with an S on end, so your audience knows it's safe to buy and do business with you. Also, make sure that you have a SSL certificate. And there is, you can get this, you can pay money for it, but there is also, I think it's called let'sencrypt.org that provides you for free. So anyways, again, there is research. We can move on to next page. In general, webmasters can improve the rank of their sites by increasing the number of high-quality sites that link to their pages. So that we're going to talk about links in a second. So let's move on. That's something very crucial on when it comes to SEO. And remember, on the beginning of the webinar, we talked a little bit about the inside and outside links. So let's kind of dig a little bit into it. So well, let me start reading this first. Relationship building should always start with you delivering value to the person you want a link from. There's a lot of people that don't know necessarily how to get links, and they go and they think, there's a lot of people out there offering to provide links to you and kind of, swap links and all that ways. A lot of them offer, money for you to connect, and many of them, just be aware, there's a lot of, I'm not saying that all of them are bad, but there's a lot of, Google knows the ones that are paid. Google kind of knows when it's not really a real relationship. So start building, it goes back to kind of basics like networking and being real with people that on your network, local people or people in your industry across the world, whatever they might be, your niche, the groups that you are creating, the connections that you have. So create those things. And we're going to talk, if you don't have none of that, one great way to build link, and now I'm talking about outside link, guys, I'm sorry, let me be clear here, because the inside link is you have control. It's your website, it's your blog, it's your product. So you can write about the recipe, you can write about the banana bread, you can write about whatever that might be, you connect, it's all within your world. You don't need to ask anybody to do the inside link. You have that control. But the outside link is the one that you depend on somebody else. You need somebody else to write about you. So there's a few ways to do that. One of them, like we're going to talk about reviews. But another one that it's fairly easy and like not much tapped, and that's why I decided to put that one here today, is relationships with freelancer journalists. You guys are gonna see how we can, and there is some free tools to kind of try to get some outside links connect with your website that will help you build authority. So but again, and the reason why I put this before I move on to details is that you want to deliver value. You don't want to be asking people for a favor without giving first. And, you know, kind of go and share and kind of give them value and provide help, resources, whatever that might be, knowledge, whatever that might be the case that you can do that makes sense for you and for your business. Provide that information, whatever it is, before you go and ask people, oh, can you connect to me? So first you give, and then you get it back. It kind of always works. So next one, and ways to improve link building for SEO. So I was talking about the freelance journalists. They are great resource for link building. So there is one thing, I don't know if any of you have experience doing press request alerts, and they are great ways to get backlinks that comes from outside, which kind of is the backlink. So, and connect yourself with high authority websites. So there is a way you can kind of set up some alerts. And here I just posted a few of the free resources. So Haro, SourceBottle, Naro PR. So those are websites that you can go and look at, and you can sign up and put what you are about and what you do. So you kind of start being on the radar for things. So journalists is what they're doing. They're looking for stories, right? They're looking for things to write about it. And so you can help them by providing information of things that they can write about and ideas and stories. So, but of course there is ways to do that. So just kind of check out those websites. I strongly encourage you to do. Another way too, go and if you do Twitter, use those hashtags, journal requests or PR requests. If you follow those groups, and you guys know hashtags, it's kind of pretty much tribes and groups, and you can use this in many different social media places to find specific niches and groups. So if you follow those, you're gonna see requests and you're gonna find what is that journalists are looking for. And if they're looking to talk about a story that's something that has to do in any way, shape, or form with what you sell, what you offer, here we go. A great opportunity to provide that information to them. And then they will write the story, put a quote from you, connect to your website, whatever that might be the case. And that is helping you bring it up. And that's a legitimate, real, strong backlink that will connect your website to a reliable, high source. So next one. And then other thing that you have control as well to some extent. It's kind of ask for customer reviews. That's another great way to get your websites to rank higher. A lot of people don't ask for reviews. And again, it depends on what platform you use. You know, if you're on WordPress, Wix, Shopify, or if you do eBay, whatever that might be the case, some of them, they have those already inside. Some of them, you have ways to do plugins to kind of download some softwares that can do that automatically for you. Some not, so it depends on each of you is going to have your case. I just would encourage you to research and see what you have available to you based on whatever is the place that you hosted your site, and take advantage of it. Even if you have to go down to the manual by asking by email. Of course, if you kind of automated some things, your chances are higher to get a positive review. So just take advantage. That's another great way to validate who you are, because it's different that, you know, you go, it's like the same as me talking about my children. I think they're wonderful and amazing. And then I'm going to tell the coach, oh, go and hire my children. They are amazing players. Or actually the coach going and watching themselves, or a neighbor that comes and tell the coach about my kids. So it's validating, because of course I'm going to be biased regardless to how talented they are. So it's the same as we talking about, we can say whatever about our website. It's our website, and who knows what is the one we are saying is accurate or not. So having that outside validation is going to help Google to see, okay, this is real, this is legitimate, they do a great job, they deliver good service, they deliver good product, they follow up, they pack, they ship fast, whatever that might be the case. All those things they're validated, because again, there's millions, billions of us out there. So you got to prove that you are doing the things right and you are providing what Google wants. They want to provide the best answer to the people that are searching. So if you are it, they will show. And how we become it? By providing them with all those trustworthy and all this information, all those things that we have been talking about. So we can move on, but dig into reviews and see if you can incorporate that for sure. Next slide. Here, I want to kind of, before we wrap up, and I'm going to make it on time today, Cheryl. So before we wrap up, I want to talk about a couple of things here in terms of trends and tips to watch in 2022. So voice search, that's something that is coming up, and it's already happening, and it's going to only grow. So, and that kind of touches, so let me just read what I said here. Voice commerce growing fast in 2022. Do not ignore it. Dig into natural language, featured snippets, answer like questions, frequent answer questions, questions and answers, and schema markup. And I know this probably sounds like Greek to many of us, that what does that mean? So again, refer to the slide after our presentation, Google, and get deep into each one of those. But bottom line is, when it comes like natural language, is use things that are easy to understand, and all those things our voice are starting to turn into words that are going to help people find you back. Feature snippets. I put a little screenshot on the end of this presentation that kind of give an idea of what it is. You guys can take a look, and also make sure that you have frequently asked questions on your website. It's a huge help for your SEO, and also besides, of course, helping people get answers quick. Next one, user experience first. Deliver value and good user experience. Again, just be genuine, give the best, provide the wonderful product and services that you intend to, and do it right. They will have a good experience that way. SEO is all over, not only on Google and Bing and Yahoo, which is kind of what people think first. You know, SEO, they think of Google. Yes, that's number one for sure, not even 2%. Then we have Bing, we have Yahoo, and some other smaller ones. But also make sure that next generation, if you will, of SEO, the next thing that's going to happen is going to expand beyond Google, Bing, and Yahoo. We're going to start having SEOs for TikTok and for YouTube and all that. So watch for that. Then number 4, focus on teams and people, network, link to relevant pages, build authority. So go back to what we are all about, people, right? We connect to people, we buy from people, not business really on the end. So if you trust that person, if you know what they do, and you trust, and we talked a little bit about that last time, about how you can digitally show them what is that you are about behind the screen. So how can you show the kitchen of your bakery, show your real self, your face, and your family about all those things that create connection, human connection, and network, to kind of figure out those links and backlinks and events, all kinds of things. So make sure to stay in touch. People is still the most important thing on the end. And then mobile matters. That's other thing. Make sure mobile, I think we are 62% right now of people on mobile using for search as the first place. So make sure that your website is designed that is something that will open on the mobile the same ways that opens on a desktop. That's crucial. And then other thing, the majority of, just a little fact, the majority of online experience involves search. 68% of people, they are not typing like specific the name of your domain. They are, and usually people, the domains, it's like, the Amazons or whatever they might be, are those gigantic monster companies like that, brands like that. The rest of the world, they are being found by search. So you gotta make sure your website is prepared to be crawled, to be founded, and to have the authority need. Move it to next. And then here I just mentioned to you guys, this is just one among the trends that I mentioned. One of them I talked about, featured snippet. So this is just kind of a little idea. And again, there is free tools out there. You guys can get most of this. It's free out on the web. So make sure to take a look at that after this webinar, dig into it. And the next one here, I just want to give you guys one way. Some of you, maybe if you're already ranking up high without putting money, just kind of on the organic way for some specific niche, whatever that may be the reason, that's wonderful. Make sure that, SEO, it's something that moves every day. It changes daily. It changes all the time. The fact that you made a #1 on the rank today doesn't mean you're going to be #1 tomorrow. Everybody else on the game, it plays how the other are performing, you affect how you perform, and so many things in between. So one way that you can always check, imagine if you're like having a lot of traffic on your website. I hear that from some clients. Some people like, you know, at one point in time, they had a whole lot of traffic. They knew kind of they were getting this much sales a day. And then suddenly, boom, everything disappeared. There is no traffic. What is going on? So most likely your rank it drop it for many different reasons. So anyways, stay on top of where you are. So here, just a little thing, if you guys go on the search engine and type your site, so whatever that might be, and then just put enter, exactly how it shows here. And then you're gonna see where you rank. So that is something that should give you a benchmark and ballpark. And you guys can see also your competition and see where you're at. There's a bunch more of details into that we are not gonna have time to get into it, but just know that it's out there and get an idea where you're at, so you kind of can gauge and see where you are and what you need to do or not, or what could have happened or not. So I think that we have it. Do we have one more, Cheryl, or that's it?
Okay, well, let me just ask you this before you go on, so I make sure everybody is clear. So you're saying that if you have a website, you would type the word site, colon, and then your web name?
Yeah.
Is how you would do that? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You literally, you got it.
Okay, cool. Let me see if
and
I have it.
And you can do this exercise as soon as we hop out of this webinar, do the exercise and see it. It's fascinating. There is some other sites that kind of through the slides that I put it that after I would strongly encourage people to go and do immediately after as soon as you got a chance, go and do it because the answers are out there and it kind of connects to Google Analytics and it's all free. There's so many free resources out there that will help you guide on strategy. So I made it on time. We're going to have time for questions and answers, 5 minutes.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Let's see who we have here. We have Melody and we have Robert that are in our room today. And if you have a question, actually, I can just open up the mic for you. So if you would like to, well, there being none, Priscilla, any final words?
I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity, Cheryl. Thank you for all that you guys do. Thank you for our attendance, for everybody that came in, and wishing everybody lots of success.
Great.
And I'll see you guys next time.
All right, then great. Y'all take care. Have a great week.
Thank you.